everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Kathy at Attic Treasures, etc. And in furtherance of my quest to organize my craft room and to make the most of the space that I have, today I am working on my wooden block stamps to get them off of the blocks and into something that's a little bit more manageable. I can store more like this. So all of the stamps in here used to be on blocks like this, but now I can fit them in one of these cases. And I got the cases at Michael's. They came, I think 16 to a case, and they were on sale for $14.99, down from $42. So if you want some of those cases, now's a good time to get them. Anyhow, I want to explain the process that I used, and I know I'm not the first one to do a video on removing your wooden stamps or your stamps from the wooden blocks, but this is what I have found. Most of the stamps can go in the microwave for about 20 seconds and they just pop right off. The ones that work the best that way are the ones with this gray cushion. I'm going to make sure you can see. Okay, so this gray cushion right here between the stamp and the block. Now there are other colors. The ones that have like the black cushion, those come off really easily as well. But the ones that have this more yellow cushion right here, these are really tough. And I have found that these need to go into the microwave for at least 30 seconds. Some of them, the glue is so strong that it takes a full minute. Be very careful when you're pulling these blocks out because wood retains heat pretty well. So make sure that you use a hot pad or an oven mitt or something to do that. And then just gently peel. And what I did too was to use something like this to kind of peel it off so I wasn't having to touch it. So be aware of that. The ones that have the red cushion in here, they pose another little challenge, and I'll explain that one later. But the ones that pop right off after 20 seconds or so in the microwave are the ones with the gray cushion and ones with the black cushion, which I'm not finding in this. Oh, this one, well, no, that's a yellow one. That's going to be tough. So here's one. Here's one with the black cushion. So that one's just going to pop right off, no problem. Now, another thing that I discovered was that because I wanted to see what was on the stamp once I had it off, I could take the picture, I could peel the picture in many cases right off of the block and just make it stick right back on. Sometimes I had to use some Fabri-Tac to make it stick all the way around. But then you have to trim it to the size of the stamp. And for some of them that have a lot of little nooks and crannies, that got to be very tedious. So I came up with a different method, and I actually wasn't the first to use it. I did find a video on this, and it was several years old, so if I can find it again, I'll post it down below. And she suggested another process for making sure that you can see what the impression is without, having to turn it over. Sometimes they're pretty intricate and it's hard to figure out what they are. And the other reason this other method works really well is because not all stamp blocks have a removable, like this one has it's on some sort of clear film that is glued to it, and you can sometimes peel it off and use that. But some of them, they're painted on or printed on in some way, and obviously you have to do something besides you can't peel this off, and so you can't put it on your block, so there has to be a better way. Now, most of the blocks that I used, I just ended up throwing them away. I asked my son if he wanted to have them for his boys and girl for maybe some woodworking projects, and he didn't really want them, which is kind of a shame because they're good hardwood. And we were, like I said, in the middle of redoing all of our floors, and our house was so torn apart. I didn't want to mess with having to post them online or anything like that. I did look up on Pinterest and some other places on how to reuse them, and I didn't find anything that really struck my fancy, so I ended up getting rid of them. But other ones like this, the artwork is so pretty that I'm saving these, and I'm gonna make some little shelves and have these on display in my craft room because they're just too pretty to throw away. Okay, so now I'm going to show you what I'm doing to put another picture on the stamp themselves. Okay, so I'm just using some tissue. It is just like wrapping paper tissue that I think I probably just got at the Dollar Tree. Something really simple. And I'm going to take, and you can see I already have some on here. And I'm going to, this is the last one. I'm going to try to make sure that you can see. Let's back you off a little bit here. Okay, so I'm going to put it right here. And so I'm just going to stamp it up, and I'm using StazOn ink because it's waterproof and it won't run, which is good because you're going to need some glue. This one has the yellow cushion, and it's still pretty sticky, but this one was really hard to get off of the block, so I had to put it in a couple of times. So I'm just kind of rubbing my ink across the image like this. And like I said, it's still pretty sticky. And then I'm just going to press it down and take a pen. You can use a pen or a pencil. I find a pen is less damaging. Now sometimes it's going to stick to your fingers a little bit, so you have to be aware of that. But as you press down and trace around just the edges, that will give you the area to cut around. And believe me, with some of these, like, I don't know if you can see this, but this has all kinds of little ridges and stuff. And it was just ridiculous trying to cut around the image that had that many grooves and try to put it back on the block. It was just ridiculous. Okay. Now that impression didn't come out very well, but I'll still be able to tell what it is. Okay, so the next step is to put a film on top of this. And if you saw my video for redoing, reorganizing my my lace cards, I used a photo album. I used the card that was inside the photo album to form the core of most of my lace cards. And then of course it had this this film on each page, and I thought, well, I'll save that, but I don't know what I'm going to use it for. Well, now I know what I'm going to use it for. So I cut each one in half, and I'm going to glue it to this sheet. And what I'm going to use to do that with is I'm just going to use some Distress Collage Medium. I'm pretty sure that Mod Podge would work just as well, but this is what I have. So I'm going to spread this on carefully with my Distress Collage Medium brush, or you can use a foam brush. And the reason I'm doing so many at once is because I don't know about you, but I like to also make the best use of my time. So trying to do these one at a time, I did that on the first few, and then I just thought, ain't nobody got time for that. That's just too hard. So what I did is I cut one of these pieces of tissue paper roughly about the same size as one of those pages. Now, if you can find those photo albums at thrift stores, which is where I found mine, they're actually, if you're going to be using them for stuff like this, it's a pretty good find. And the album itself is going to be great because I'll show you what I'm going to do with my cling stamps in another video, the clear ones, because I don't like the way I have them stored right now. And I saw another YouTuber use something else to store them, and it was such a good idea, and she was so excited about it that that I'm going to try it, and I'm going to use that album to do it. Okay, got to be careful removing your fingers because this is really fragile and it'll tear. Okay, so I hope the glare isn't too bad. I'm just going to lay this on here gently. And then you want to smooth out the wrinkles as much as possible. And I'm just using one of these little smoothers that my husband made for me. I did have these in my Etsy shop a year or so ago, but you know, we've just been too busy and he hasn't been able to make any more, but hopefully he'll be able to make some more in a month or so. We still have a lot of projects that need to be finished around the house, but we're almost there. Okay, so far so good. And I might want to print that on there a little bit better on that one. And you can see I have several stamps on here to cut out. Okay, we're going to let this dry. And while this one is drying, oh, the other thing is when you remove this from the wax paper or parchment paper, whatever you have, be careful because sometimes the tissue can tear. So I'm going to set this one aside. And I have another one that's ready. This one right here. And now I'm just going to use my scissors and just cut these out around the stamp. Oh wait, that didn't work. Oh, that's because that's another one. All right, let's go back to this. I laid another one on top of it and didn't realize it. Okay, just another film, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'm cutting this out. And if you cut just inside the line that you drew with your pen, it's better to cut it a little bit small because then you don't have as much trimming, if any, to do. Okay, so now I have this stamp and I can put this on, and of course I want to do it the right direction. So I'll show you that in a minute. This is the red, the cushion that I was telling you about. These are a little bit tougher to deal with because, and this one might not be too bad because it still looks like it has a little bit of a film left on it, but some of them, I'm not going to be able to find one right now, but some of them, the film comes off and it's just like a film of glue, but the film will come off and leave just like these ridges of raw rubber that look like this, see? So when you put glue on here, it's just going to fall inside these ridges. So what I like to do with these is to put a layer of glue on first, then let it dry, then put another layer of glue on when I'm putting on my stamp image. But this already has a layer. So just for the sake of this video, I'm going to set this aside. Now normally I would cut all of these out and do this in a little assembly line fashion, but not today because I'm going to show y'all how I do it. Okay, so I've just got some Fabri-Tac here, and Fabri-Tac is what I have found works the best for attaching the film to the rubber. And just, you know, apply it liberally, especially on the edges, but you also want to get, you know, as much glue in the center as possible just to, you know, make sure you don't have a ton of air bubbles. Make sure my orientation's still correct. Okay, and then you just lay that on there. And then smooth out the wrinkles if there are any. Okay, and I like to have a baby wipe handy just to get some extra glue off if there's any on there. And now you can see I need to do a little bit of trimming here on the edge. Oh, so what I was going to say is that with the with this red rubber, it takes a little bit longer for the adhesion to be permanent. So what I would do with this is set it under something heavy for a couple of hours just to make sure that it sticks. And this one is sticking okay because it still had a film on it. Okay, now the other thing is, because I want to use these with a stamp block or a stamp platform, obviously nothing happens here, right? So now I'm going to close this up so I don't get, so it doesn't, dry out. Cover up my little brush here. So now what I need to do is apply something to make this sticky. And what I'm using is the Aleene's Tack It Over and Over. This stuff works great. Now, I will tell you that I went to Joann's and Michael's and Hobby Lobby looking for this. And none of the associates I talked to knew what in the world I was talking about. They said, oh, well, here's Aleene's, but I don't know about that Tack It Over and Over business. So I just ended up looking for it on Amazon, and of course they had it. So you just want to apply it. I have a lot of stamps to do, so I'm probably going to use this whole thing. And you just paint this on with a little foam brush. Something sticking to me. And I get my foam brushes at the Dollar Tree. They don't last forever, but they're $1.25 for a pack of, I can't remember, a pack of 4 or 5 for $1.25, so that's fine. Okay, so, and this dries totally clear. And when it's finished drying, you end up with a stamp. Oh, this one needs to have it on there. You end up with a stamp that will stick to your block. Well, mostly, yeah. Okay, if I had it on my stamp platform, it would stick just fine. This one also has it on there. This one. And if it doesn't stick as well as you want it to, well, that's no problem. Just add another coat of the Tack It Over and Over. To give it just a little bit more oomph. My dad always said, one of the best qualities a person can have is stick-to-itiveness. And that goes for stamps too. I just want them to stick. Okay, so these are done now. And I have a number of stamps more to do, but I've also done a lot of my stamps. And most of them already are in these little cases. And I have them labeled butterflies or whatever, So I will probably not keep them in the case. I'm hoping to put them back in my drawer where I had my stamps before. But they'll take up a lot less room in the drawer. Or I might just keep them in the case. And just so you see the case, this is the case. And again, it was on sale for $14.99, so I snatched it up. And they have some with colors, but I like the clear ones. Okay, so I hope that gives you an idea of maybe what you can. Oh, one more thing. Sometimes when you're taking the stamp off, when you get it out of the microwave, the gray cushion, sometimes the black cushion does it too, but sometimes it'll tear. And so what you want to do with this is I tried to scrape off as much of it as I could so you don't have a bunch of gaps like this one. See, it has this big gap here. So I'm going to redo this one. But what you can do is use some fun foam. And I'll go grab a piece of fun foam and show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so this is a scrap piece of fun foam that I have that I probably got at Walmart. And what you want to do is trace it out first on here, because when you cut it, you want to keep this backing sheet on, because if you don't, you will be sorry, because this stuff is so aggressive. Okay, I'm going to make the best use of my space that you'll never get your scissors off of it. So actually, I'll put it on the back side. It's easier to draw on. When I was just tearing the picture of the stamp off of the block and attaching it on the stamp itself like this, I thought I was so clever until I started cutting around all those little ridges and all these tiny little slivers of that stuff, that film was coming off, and it was just all over my hands, and it was sticking to my shoes, and just became a nightmare. So this method of using the tissue paper actually I think is faster and better. And I'm getting a lot of use out of those photo album sheets. I didn't know what I was going to use those films for. And I won't obviously use them all for this because I can get quite a few number of stamps on one film sheet, but I'm sure I will find other uses for it. Okay. Now, again, when you take off this backing sheet, this is very, very, very sticky. You basically have one shot at it. Okay, and you can see, it's even off a little bit. So I'm going to try to trim it. I'm using the Tim Holtz titanium scissors because I can get most of the sticky off. But there's no peeling it off and putting it back on with this fun foam stuff. But it does come in handy. I've used it quite a bit in my journals just to give, on the cover, underneath whatever I'm putting on, between the cardboard and whatever I'm covering it with, just to give it a little bit of a cushion. So it works really well for that. Okay, so now I've got a cushion on here, and I can put the image on wherever it went. It's around here somewhere. Anyhow, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you'll go ahead and if you want to remove your stamps from the blocks, it's a great way to do it. I think I put a picture up in the corner earlier in the video to show you that was one, that was when I first started, and that's how many blocks that I ended up getting rid of. So it really does take up a lot less room in my craft room, and I have a finite amount of space and I need to make the most of it, and so this is one way I do it. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like and subscribe. That really helps my channel, and it also helps put my channel in front of other people who might want to know like how to do these things. And so that really helps. And what also helps and helps me is to give me a comment, because I read them all, I answer them all, maybe not necessarily in the same day, but I do answer them all, and they're really very encouraging for me and helps me to want to make more videos for y'all. Okay, everybody, have a great day. Let the serendipity find you, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.